Well, hello everyone. It is me, Rashi, here for another edition of Parent to Parent. And this one kind of surprised me because, Apple's always coming up with updates on your iPhone, and a lot of us have iPhones. A lot of our kids have iPhones. We always talk about the age of when a child should have a phone. That's always up for a debate, but we could almost certainly be, certain, I guess, that a teenager would have a cell phone by now. And it can be very, very dangerous, especially because of this latest update. That's according to a lot of police departments across the nation, actually, who are warning parents about this new iOS 17's new airdrop to share photos faster. So, and it actually doing a whole bunch more than that. So the law enforcement agencies nationwide, they're warning people, especially parents and guardians, about this privacy update that basically allows users to share private information they might not want others to have. And so this update includes a feature that allows users to share the contact information and photos just by holding two iPhones close together, which is really cool if you think about it, that you can do all this stuff. But looking at it, cybersecurity perspective, that can be very scary. So there's advice for a lot of parents on what to do. And I wanted to bring my good friend for a very long time, who is a tech expert, Juan. Here he is. There we go. Juan Guevara Torres, who's the president and CEO of Now Media Networks. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I love about talking about this subject.
Yes.
Absolutely. This is something that parents need to know about, because although a lot of the technology is there to be able to share things fast, it is a true concern because, sharing is not always caring.
Yes, that is true. And when it comes to this specifically, can you explain what this new, feature is all about, called NameDrop?
Yes. Well, essentially, if you have an iPhone or you have two iPhones, what you can do is just put them together, okay? And essentially, I have my iPhone here. So if I have an iPhone like this, I just put it together with another person, and I can instantly share information. One of them is my name, my contact information. That's why it's called NameDrop. The issue with that is that this works with something called NFC, which stands for near field communication. And what happens is, if somebody is approaching you in a grocery store, in a restaurant, and they have another iPhone and they want to get your information without you knowing about it, all they have to do is just use an iPhone close to you and you don't even realize, and they will probably share your information, or they will pull your information out of your iPhone without you knowing about it. Now, this becomes especially difficult and worrisome with kids, because now my daughters, for example, 13 and 11, they do have iPhones. And one of the things that I've specifically have done is disable this feature because of this very reason. If they want to share information, it cannot be done automatically. It needs to be consented by the kid, and we have to talk about that. But just sharing your name, your contact information, your picture, all that automatically, it doesn't sound like a good idea for me.
Definitely. So is there anything that comes up on your phone when someone is trying to get your information?
Actually, it depends. It's like AirDrop. If you guys have AirDrop, for those folks in the audience that have used AirDrop in the past, yes, you can customize the alerts to accept. Okay, airdropping a picture. I've received, I kid you not, probably 30 or 40 emails and texts from people within airplanes when they were receiving not very good pictures of other people within an airplane, because you could airdrop a picture and without you accepting it or not having that configured correctly, people share pictures that are not very friendly.
Right.
And that's kind of the same thing with NameDrop. You have to specifically configure your iPhone in your settings to make sure that, first of all, it's not shared with everybody. Just like AirDrop, you have everyone, contacts, and none. It's kind of the same thing. You have to configure your name drop to either be with somebody that you actually tap and you accept that, or none. And quite frankly, I think it's better to configure it as none, because sometimes you may miss a notification that your iPhone or the iOS 17 is giving you. And if you don't answer that in a specific amount of time, the sharing of your contact information goes through, and that might not be an issue. Now, I know that we share our information all the time. Your contact information is shared all the time, your email,
Hmm.
phone number, and everything. But the problem with that is that, if you're sharing your cell phone with somebody and you do it because of the course of business or whatever, well, that's fine. But why in the world would you like your teenager, your preteen, to be sharing information with somebody on the street where there is a lot of danger out there? Why would they do that? The answer is no. And that's where all law enforcement is looking at this as a cybersecurity threat. And I happen to agree with them, where you need to make sure that the contact information for your kids stays protected as much as possible, and to make sure that they're not sharing information as easily as this new feature can make it happen.
So basically, to understand how this works, like I have my iPhone right here. I don't have to be super close to them. Like I could be like just, a little bit away, but they can still get my information
That's
unless,
correct.
okay.
Usually near field communications happen anything within 3 to 10 feet. So it's really close. You don't have to be like looking at the person face to face. You can be, waiting on a grocery store to pay, and somebody can just use an iPhone to be able to grab your information. The same thing happens with the credit cards, with tap pay. There are now credit cards, for example, that protect that NFC chip, because somebody with a reader can pick up your credit card information in a grocery store. You don't even know about it. So
Mhm.
it's the same concept. And I imagine the folks that I spoke with in Apple, they tell me, well, you share your information all the time. All you have to do is pay attention with the technology that you're using. And I agree with that. But at the same time, we are providing these devices to kids in lieu of what happened in Uvalde, and make sure that they're safe at the school, because we know we're prone to shootings. So we want to make sure that our kids, we can track them all the time, and they have a device where they can communicate with us that is safer. I generally believe an iPhone is safer than an Android for many reasons. But this specific feature, I am not convinced, and I would advise parents, as a tech expert, to try to turn it off and teach the kids that private information is private. Your phone number is private. Your email information is private. Your pictures are private, and you have to approve anything you share, because once it's on the internet, is forever.
Yeah, definitely. And so I make it clear, like, so if I'm holding my phone and I have this feature and someone else is like, say, 4 feet away from me, they're able to grab this information without me knowing it.
Yes, if your iOS is configured to do it in an automatic fashion, yes, they can.
And that's the default.
I'm sorry, what?
And that is the default.
That is the default. So you have to make sure that you go to your privacy settings, you go to your settings. It's always a good idea to be auditing your phone at the very least once a month. Okay, what notifications am I allowing to come in? What are my security settings, privacy settings? Because it changes all the time. The more apps we install in our phone, those may change the security settings that we have on our phone. Sometimes we allow things that we didn't mean to. So as a matter of fact, we have to be auditing our devices to see what it's allowed, we are allowing them to do. And clearly, absolutely, 100%, we have to be making sure that our kids' devices are completely audited. I know if you have a teenager, it's going to be a battle between you and your teenager to audit their phone. But now more than ever, it's crucial to make sure that you have full control. And I'm saying this loud and clear, full control of your kids' devices, because a lot of things happen with those devices. A lot of signals can be detected on time if we talk to our kids, but making sure that their devices are audited and secure is the parent's responsibility.
So, auditing your child's device, that sounds like a good idea, but where do you even start with that? Because as someone who might not be very tech savvy, what are some points that you would recommend for parents?
First of all, you need to you know who pays the bill, right? Okay, so the main thing that you have to establish with your kids, and this is the rule that I follow with my own daughters, is your device is not your device. It's mine, and I'm lending it to you. So I can get into your device anytime I need to. That's number one. Number two, we need to make sure that we have the access code to the device. Okay, meaning they use face ID, or you have a specific code to get into the device. The parent needs to know that. And if they change that, the device is automatically grounded for X amount of time. That's number two. Number three, email addresses. Okay, you have to have the password for anything, email addresses and everything. Four, if you are brave enough to allow them to have social media, which again, we've said this on Fox 26, no kid under 15, at least 18 years old, should have access to social media whatsoever. I know it's tough, but consider the alternative, okay? Access to social media. Follow your kids on social media. Make sure that if they're watching TikTok all the time, you do have access to that device and see what they're watching. YouTube, the same thing. Look at the pictures, look at the text they're sending and receiving. If they're using Snapchat, if they're using iMessage, if they're using WhatsApp, Telegram, or regular text, you need to make sure that you're always looking at those. And of course, there's a lot of apps out there that you can install at home that is constantly checking the traffic between your kid's device and the network. And of course, enabled screen time. Screen time will allow the parents to see where your kid is spending time, which apps, what are they doing with the phone. And that's a feature on iOS 17 that you can activate immediately. And one of the things he does is he checks the type of content they're receiving. If somebody's receiving an inappropriate text or picture, that will alert parents immediately. And those are the things that you should do all the time to make sure that you have control of the device. And another thing that I would recommend is an hour before going to bed, the devices are turned off. They're not in the media like us. They don't have to receive a text at 3:00 in the morning, right? Well,
right.
If they are going to bed, let's say at 9:00, by 7:45 or 8 p.m., they have to turn the devices off, away from the room, okay? So they can actually start developing a healthy sleeping cycle. And at that point, they have to know that you can go into the devices and audit them all the time. And if you find something that it's not appropriate and they didn't tell you about it, then you take some action with your kids, that you seem appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so good. And that our advice is good for adults too, because, I think it's also one of the things I've done in this parent to parent segment is talk about how important it is to mirror what kind of behavior you want your child to have. So setting the example yourself. And, about a year ago, I was on my phone checking something and playing with my then 5-year-old. And he's like, "Mommy, stop using your phone." And at that point, I'm like, he knows, mommy's on her phone. Like, what? That's so sad. And redirected to like put my phone away, literally have to move my phone because I don't want alerts, messages, all that kind of stuff. So that's great advice. The other thing I was going to say is my kids are younger. My son is now in first grade. So I think it's important for parents who are younger as well, have younger kids, they're exposed to the fifth graders. So they can possibly see the TikTok. They might not have a TikTok, but there's some fifth graders that have that account. They've lied and they've done that. In your experience, what do you see when it comes to children in the elementary school age?
Well, I'm telling you, you won't be able to protect your kids 100% of the time, especially with access to technology. And I want to make this very clear. Technology is not bad. Technology is not good. Technology is what we make and the use that we use, what we do with technology. So in at least when we were kids, you and I, we didn't have access to an iPhone.
Mhm.
I got my first cell phone when I was 22, 23 years old. So the access to technology, the access to information to our kids is completely different than when we were kids.
Right.
So we have to be aware of that. And I believe one of the things that as a parent I tell my two daughters is, what is what you're putting in your mind? I make them repeat these, and I hope it helps anybody in the audience. And I tell them, if it's in your mind, you'll get it. So the question to the parents is, or to the kids would be, what are you allowing to go into your mind? What are you consuming? Okay, what type of videos? Are they videos making you a better person? Is it content that you're consuming making you a better person? And make them decide what type of content they're going to be using, and give them the value of trust. Okay, I tell my kids, be responsible with your devices, because if you lose my trust, it's going to take you a long time to regain that trust. And so far, fingers crossed, has worked, because now we're teaching the kids how to disregard content that is not the best content for them. But this is something that we have to instill in a daily basis. If we're having dinner, one of the things that I tell parents all the time in regards to technology is, these devices are not babysitters. Okay, these devices are designed for communication and to make you a better person. If you're giving your kids a device because you don't want to be a parent, that's not the kid's fault, that's yours. So if you're having dinner, my suggestion would be, hey, devices away. Okay, let's talk about your day. Let's try to listen what they're telling you, because there might be some instances of cyberbullying, of harassment, or something going on. People that are playing online videos, and people that are actually gaming online, they're exposed to a lot of things that they shouldn't. There's a lot of people pretending to be kids on social media and pretending to be players on an online game, and they're not good people. They're trying to get your kids' information to see, they do bad things to them. Okay, so in one thing that I think is very important to tell the audience, that Texas is prone for snatching kids in grocery stores. Okay. So if you are with your kids and your kids are not alert, or if somebody is watching and is trying to rob you outside the store, or grab your kid while you're watching a TikTok video or something, or if they are using phones like this to actually grab the kids' information, you're putting them in danger. So it's important to say to the audience that technology is a tool, but you need to be responsible with the way you teach your kids to use technology, one thing. And the other thing is, you have to be responsible to monitor the way your kids are using technology too.
Definitely. That's great advice. And I wanted to really quickly, can you show us how to, it's easy to do, how to actually change it in your settings?
Yes, of course. All you need to do is very self-explanatory. All you have to do is you go to your settings on your phone. Okay,
Okay.
easy. You go to settings, and all you have to do is to go to you can type NameDrop on the search bar. Okay,
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
and that will give you multiple options how to configure it to what you think is best.
Okay.
Okay, so that's easy. But the main thing here is, what you're doing right now with this segment is very important, because we're bringing light, thanks to you, parents, what can happen, because we don't think about these things. Okay,
Right.
we usually don't. So please make sure that you adjust the privacy settings on your kid's iPhone to what you think is best, to what you think is appropriate. And know that NameDrop is a great feature if it's used correctly, but if it's not, could be not a very good idea. And it could
Yes. All right, Juan. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that advice. And I'm sure if you all have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. And we will definitely try to answer that. Thank you so much, Juan. And I appreciate all of you for joining us in this edition of Parent to Parent. If you have any questions, like I said, please do put them in the comment section and we'll try to get them answered for you. But the big issue is NameDrop, a new feature for iOS 17. It's an update. It's a great tool if you're alert with it. And if you make sure that you are in control of who gets your information and who doesn't. Default setting right now is that anybody can access your information. So that's something definitely you want to change in your settings, which is very easy to do. If you have any other questions, again, be sure to put